Rich people of Reddit who married someone significantly poorer. What surprised you about their previous way of life? 1. My so said today I made rent, meaning today I've earned enough, accumulated enough to pay the rent, and I realized that this is a monthly accomplishment to someone with no fixed income salary. 2. I fell in love with my uni best friend who really didn't have any money. When I got a job, for my birthday I decided to plan a holiday and offered to bring him along. It didn't even occur to me that this was his first ever holiday he'd ever taken. His family could never afford it growing up, and he'd never really thought to do it as an adult. Edit. Rip inbox. Thank you all for the love and support. 3. I can answer this one. I did not grow up rich by any means, but I would say my family was upper middle class. My husband was born in Nicaragua and eventually moved to Texas, where his mother barely scraped by supporting him and his brother. Some of the things that surprised me: 1. He never eats snacks. Ever. They didn't have food in their kitchen and he would go hungry sometimes. He said once they had an egg in the kitchen and he scrambled it and split it with his brother while his mom hungrily looked on. Now as an adult he doesn't understand snacking. If we eat a banana he thinks that is our next meal. 2. He is very impressed with smaller things in life. He had one toy as a kid, truck, and now, anything I get him he thinks is the most amazing thing in the world. He saves everything. 3. He is the hardest worker I know. He never wants to be where he was. 4. He is the most grateful, optimistic person I know. We've been having some problems, family drama, trying to sell our house, work stuff, etc. He is not afflicted by any of it. He is cool as a cucumber. He always says, "Did you eat today? Do you have a place to sleep? Does someone love you? Then you are better than most people. I dearly love him. He makes me see the world in a different, better way." 4. My husband grew up in a family where they were comfortable but on a strict budget. 6 kids and mom on disability. My family had no budget. One day we were at the grocery store and he always insists on walking up and down every aisle. I finally lost it because he was taking so long and asked him why he did it. Growing up we could only spend $0 a week on groceries for all of us. I always had to put what I wanted back because we couldn't afford it. Now I can afford whatever I want, so I like to look at everything I could have. Took him 10 years to tell me this. I felt like a terrible person. Edit. Thanks for the silver kind homies. Edit number 2. I've had a few people, very few, comment that $0 a week is a huge budget and how is that a stretch. We live in a city with an extremely high cost of living. It's in the top 30 in the world. Getting a family of 4 fed for that much weekly would be a huge stretch here, and his family did an amazing job. 5. Sandwiches. When I made him a sandwich I only put one thin slice of meat in it. He couldn't believe that was how I had sandwiches growing up. 6. My experience is from the opposite perspective. I was the poor one. It absolutely floored me how my wife acts when something broke, like a car, appliances, clothes, etc. As a child living below the poverty line, replacing a tire or other necessities was a disaster, requiring tricky trade-offs in the budget or just plain acceptance of just how boned you were. When my wife's phone broke, I went into full panic mode while she shrugged and said, "We can just a new one this afternoon." And then we did. Edit. Wow, I have received a lot of responses on this. By far my most upvoted comment. You guys made my day, thank you. I have seen a few repair it comments. Like many of you, I am also a Picasso MacGyver of the duct tape and trash bag world. This skill helped me break into IT. Sadly, the phone was beyond repair. Trust me, if I could have fixed it, I would have. And thank you for the silver. Last edit. Y'all are giving me too many medals. I am very flattered, but this is going to spoil me. 7. When we moved in together, I found out that she was putting her share of the rent on her credit card, with no real plan for how to pay it off. Edit. If you're coming in here to say you can't pay rent on a credit card or you were her plan, lem save you a few keystrokes. Don't. 8. Honestly, food insecurity. When we were first married she would get visibly uneasy if the food in the house was running low. She never overate or anything, she was just always concerned about it. A lot of times when she was younger, she went hungry. On the humorous side though, she hates camping. Her answer is always the same. I camped because it was fun. She camped because they couldn't afford hotels. 9. I'm from the poorer family, not super poor, but my in-laws have a stupid amount of money, so by comparison I'm very poor. But I think I can answer for her. We have 2 young kids, and my wife was shocked when I said we should look for clothes and toys for them at local flea markets and garage sales. The idea never occurred to her that we could save money by getting some gently used items. She had never even been to a garage sale in her life. She has grown to love them and now questions whether it is worth it to buy any item new or not before running to Amazon or a store. Her parents think it's disgusting we make our kids wear clothes that another child had before, but they don't pay my bills. 10. Hamburger helper. She hates it because it would be her meal 5x a week growing up. I had never even seen HH before I went to college and loved that stuff. 1040 deals are awesome. My foster daughter was the same way with pasta. She ate so much of it, before we got her, that she hated it. The first meal I made for her on her first night with us, pasta. She didn't say a word and ate her dinner, but later I found out she didn't like pasta because of how much of it she had eaten before. I always took her grocery shopping so she could pick out stuff she liked. After that, she was shocked when she found out red delicious apples weren't the only variety out there. I think she overdosed on Honeycrisp apples when I first introduced them to her. Edit. Since many people are asking how she's doing, I'm making this edit. I got her through high school and college. She graduated college last year. She's going to teach for a couple of years before going back for her master's. She applied for a teaching job, and she literally sent us a few minutes ago. http://imgur, ko0 ad. Also, thank you for the kind words about fostering. I can say it was a truly rewarding experience. 11. The prevailing mindset in his community growing up that insurance was something only rich people had. Not health insurance, mind you. Well, not just health insurance, auto insurance. Going without it was a way of life for most everyone he knew. 12. Long-term dating. Pets. I was always surprised by the number of pets she and her family had living in the trailer and how much of a share of their income they spent on them. Well, pets give you unconditional love. And that's important when you don't have much else. And X200B. Better than drugs. Edit. A more constructive use of money. Not better, to each their own. 13. Rich people of Reddit who want to marry someone significantly poorer. Hello. And X200B. Edit. Figures my most upvoted comment on Reddit is me being a gold digger, but I will take it as a win, since I got gold. 14. I didn't marry this woman, but when we started dating, she always wanted to chill at my place, never hers, which was fine. But she gained 35 pounds in just like a few months of dating. She was 100 pounds when we started dating. Not that it was a bad thing. 1. I am a chubby man, and 2. I was just glad she wasn't pregnant. Anyway, turns out her family couldn't afford dinner sometimes. So suddenly she had a place to eat every night and gorged herself. 15. I dated a 1%er briefly. She was surprised I willingly went inside fast food restaurants. Edit. Since people are saying 1% is still a huge range in income, I just looked up her daddy pools and 0 million a year. I'm not dating her, but she's a good friend of mine, and her parents are definitely 1%ers. I told her I had to work this summer to save up for a graduation trip and that money was gonna be tight for the next year, but I'd love to go on a safari after graduation if I managed to save enough. Mind you, I'm solidly upper middle class. Her parents paid for it just because I'd helped her move into her apartment. It's not like that's what friends are for or anything. It's hard to see it this way, but paying for your trip was not a hardship for them. It was a small blip that was a nice thing to do for a friend. Just like helping your friend move was a blip for you. Edit. Thanks for the silver. A blip for you, I hope. 16. I'm from an upper middle class American family and my husband is from a poor SC Asian family. It is hard for me to wrap my head around how poor they really were when he was growing up. He told me about eating only rice with sugar for meals because they couldn't afford meat. They were probably living off less. 50/day for a family of 5 at times. I'm Southeast Asian as well. Rice, soy sauce, eggs and a little vegetables go a long way. I know this is not the point you were making, but reading those ingredients just made my mouth water for fried rice. 17. Credit cards were avoided. For me growing up, we were encouraged to get a credit card in our name and use it as much as possible in order to build credit. There was always money to pay it off each month, so it made sense to 1. Build credit and 2. Collect airline miles or whatever the reward was back in the day. When we got together, she always used cash or a debit card. She had a credit card for emergencies and avoided using it otherwise. It took a long time to get her over her aversion skepticism. We were fortunate to have 2 good paying jobs, though it also taught me a healthy appreciation for what it means to have a financial cushion. The logic of buying things on credit that you could buy with cash in order to build a credit score is pretty weird when you think about it. You're basically taking out a loan that you don't need to show you're responsible with money. 18. Not rich but with a partner who was raised by a teen mom and grew up poor. Sometimes I just want rice and vegetables for dinner. That's a no from her. She won't go back. My dad was the opposite, grew up quite poor and built a business up and ended up doing quite well. Still eats like there's only 25 cents in his checking account. Left alone, he would gladly eat ramen every day and his go-to meal is rice porridge. We went to Osteria Franciscana in Modena a few years ago. Literally named the best restaurant in the world. We all went for the tasting menu but he asked to order a la carte, and he wanted to order just buttered fettuccine. He only agreed to the tasting menu when they insisted that the whole table had to do it if some of us were doing it. He'll even insist on eating things that have been burned or drink milk that's just starting to turn. 19. I am not well off but my stepfather is. I was raised by a single mom who spent money on everything and bills were always behind. She just couldn't manage her money at all. In her 50s she met and married a multi-millionaire. We are in middle America so that goes further than maybe in a lot of areas. They have given themselves 0,000 a month budget to live on. Living on interest. Own their home. Anyway, once my mom met him and they got all her finance situated and paid off, she won't spend a penny. He spends like it is going out of style. He has actually begged me to take her shopping to get clothes and accessories. She won't do it. She spent more when she was a single mom with nothing. It makes no sense to me. At least buy a new outfit. She is hell-bent to not use a penny of his money. They barely even have any groceries. If they have anything it is because he buys it for them. She is a retired nurse that gets a retirement and SS but she won't spend anything. She lives poorer now than any other time in her life. This sounds less like a financial issue and more like she's trying to preserve her pride. She knows that people will think she's a gold digger if she spends his money, so she's going to the opposite extreme and refusing to benefit from any of it. Edit. Maybe anxiety is a better way to describe it than pride. 20.